There comes a time in life when we look in the mirror and hardly recognize the person staring back. Maybe it's after failure, heartbreak, loss, or simply realizing we've been living on autopilot. In those moments, we feel broken. But let me tell you something important. Being broken is not the end. It is the beginning of rebuilding. To rebuild yourself means to rise from the ashes of your past, to acknowledge the pain, and to use it as fuel for transformation. It doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means taking ownership of your story and deciding that your past does not define your future. Rebuilding is not about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering the strength, the courage, and the purpose that were buried beneath the weight of doubt, fear, and disappointment. This process is not easy. It requires grit. It demands honesty. It takes time, but the beauty of rebuilding is that you get to choose what the new version of you looks like. You get to set your own standards. You get to be the architect of your own comeback. So wherever you are in life, whether you're starting over or simply trying to improve, remember this: you are not a finished product. You are a masterpiece in progress, and every step you take to rebuild yourself is a step closer to the person you are meant to become. Stand tall, dust yourself off, and start rebuilding, because your future is waiting, and it's worth fighting for. 1. Acknowledge where you are before any transformation can take place. The first and most crucial step is acknowledging your current reality with honesty, courage, and without judgment. It's tempting to gloss over the truth, to bury the pain under distractions, or to convince ourselves that things aren't that bad. But real change begins only when we face our situation with clear eyes. This isn't about self-criticism or blame. It's about clarity. It's about pausing long enough to look at your life, your habits, your mindset, your choices, your emotions, and asking, am I where I want to be? Am I being true to myself? What am I avoiding? Maybe you've been through something traumatic. Maybe you've been making choices that don't reflect your values. Maybe you're simply stuck in a routine that no longer brings you joy or meaning. Acknowledging where you are might mean admitting you're burnt out, that a relationship is toxic, or that you've been living in fear of failure. It might mean recognizing that your goals have shifted, or that you've been living someone else's definition of success. This stage can feel uncomfortable. You might discover things about yourself that you've avoided for years, but that discomfort is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're waking up. Think of it like being lost in a city. You can't get to your destination if you don't know your current location. Pretending you're already at your goal will only send you further off course. But when you say, "This is where I am, these are my challenges, these are the patterns I've fallen into," you give yourself a place to start. You regain power. This self-assessment isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. Life changes, and so do we. So we must regularly check in with ourselves, not just when things fall apart, but even in seasons of calm. Because being aware of your inner state allows you to steer your life with intention instead of being pulled by circumstances. Acknowledging where you are is the foundation of rebuilding yourself. It requires vulnerability and strength, but it also offers something liberating: the chance to own your story, to stop running from your reality, and to begin crafting a better one. 2. Let go of what's holding you back. Once you've acknowledged where you are, the next powerful step in rebuilding yourself is learning to let go of what's holding you back. This step is not about forgetting the past or pretending things didn't hurt. It's about choosing to release the weight that keeps you anchored in a place you've outgrown. We all carry things, memories, beliefs, habits, fears, people that served a purpose at one time but no longer help us move forward. These weights can come in many forms. Maybe it's the voice in your head that constantly tells you you're not good enough. Maybe it's guilt from past mistakes or shame from things beyond your control. Maybe it's a relationship that drains your energy or a comfort zone that has become a prison. Letting go doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong enough to stop clinging to what hurts. It means you're no longer available for the stories, patterns, or behaviors that limit your growth. The truth is, you can't rebuild your life while dragging the wreckage of the past with you. Start by identifying what no longer serves you. This can be challenging because some of the things that hold us back are disguised as safety or familiarity. A toxic friendship might feel like loyalty. A destructive habit might feel like escape. A limiting belief might feel like protection. But if something is costing you your peace, your purpose, or your self-worth, it's time to question why you're still holding on to it. Emotional baggage is often harder to let go of than physical clutter. It might take time. It might involve grieving. It might mean stepping away from people who once meant everything to you. It might mean walking away from identities or roles you've lived in for years. But remember, releasing is not losing. It's making space. You're creating room for something better, healthier relationships, deeper self-respect, clearer purpose, and renewed energy. Think of it like clearing out a garden full of weeds. Until you remove what's choking the soil, you can't plant anything new. Letting go is an act of preparation. It's what allows you to build something stronger, something truer, something yours. This process also means forgiving. Not necessarily others, but yourself. Forgive yourself for not knowing better before. Forgive yourself for staying too long. Forgive yourself for breaking down. You can't heal while punishing yourself for how you survived. Letting go is not a single moment. It's a series of choices made daily. Every time you decide to choose peace over pain, growth over guilt, hope over habit, you are reclaiming your power. 3. Redefine your identity. Rebuilding yourself is not just about changing your circumstances. It's about redefining who you are at your core. After you've acknowledged your present and begun letting go of what's no longer serving you, the next step is to ask a powerful, life-shifting question. Who am I becoming? For much of our lives, our identities are shaped by external forces. We inherit expectations from family, absorb beliefs from society, adapt ourselves to fit in, and sometimes lose sight of our own truth in the process. Over time, we become attached to roles we place: student, parent, partner, employee, survivor, and we confuse those roles with who we truly are. But when life breaks us open, whether through crisis, transition, or deep dissatisfaction, we're presented with a rare opportunity, the chance to consciously redefine ourselves on our own terms, not who we were told to be. Not who we had to become to survive, but who we choose to be. This process requires reflection. It means asking hard but essential questions. What do I truly value? What kind of life do I want to live? What qualities do I want to embody? What brings me alive, makes me feel aligned, makes me proud of who I am? Redefining your identity doesn't mean you discard everything about your past. Instead, you sort through it. You decide what to carry forward and what to release. Maybe you're someone who's always been the responsible one, always putting others first. There's strength in that. But what if you also want to be someone who puts their own dreams on the map? Or maybe you've worn the label of the failure, the anxious one, or the quiet one for years. You are allowed to outgrow those labels. You are allowed to become someone new. This step also involves declaring a new narrative. Instead of telling yourself, "I always mess things up," you start saying, "I'm learning and growing every day." Instead of "I'm not enough," you say, "I am becoming the version of myself that I respect and believe in." These aren't just affirmations. They are declarations of identity. And your identity determines your behavior, your mindset, and your destiny. It's important to understand that redefining yourself doesn't happen all at once. It's a daily decision reflected in small choices: how you speak to yourself, what you say yes or no to, how you show up when no one is watching. Over time, these decisions reinforce the new identity you're building. And remember, identity isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. When your actions begin to match the person you say you want to be, you start living in integrity. That's when rebuilding becomes not just change, but transformation. 4. Set clear, meaningful goals once you begin redefining who you are. The next essential step in rebuilding yourself is to set clear, meaningful goals that align with the new version of yourself you are becoming. Goals are more than tasks or checklists. They are compasses that guide your energy, focus, and intentions. Without them, even the strongest desire for change can drift aimlessly. When you're rebuilding, it's tempting to try and fix everything all at once. You might feel an urgent need to reinvent your career, relationships, health, or lifestyle in a single sweep. But lasting transformation isn't about speed, it's about direction. Setting meaningful goals is about choosing a clear path forward, even if you're only taking small steps at first. Start by asking yourself what truly matters to me now, not what used to matter, not what impresses others, but what resonates deeply with the person I want to become. If you've spent years living up to other people's expectations, this can feel unfamiliar at first. But rebuilding yourself requires authenticity, and that means your goals must come from your own values, dreams, and truth. A meaningful goal is one that excites you and challenges you at the same time. It's a goal that stretches your comfort zone, not breaks it. It's not about doing what's popular or safe. It's about doing what feels aligned. Whether it's committing to your health, launching a creative project, healing from trauma, building emotional strength, or simply learning to say no, if it moves you forward, it matters. Clarity is key. Vague goals like "I want to be better" or "I want to change" don't give your mind or actions a direction. Instead, ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish specifically? Why does this matter to me? How will I know I'm making progress? Break your goals down into manageable steps. Big change happens through small, consistent action. A goal to get healthy might start with drinking more water daily or walking for 15 minutes a day. A goal to be more confident could begin with speaking up once in every meeting. These small steps build momentum, and momentum builds belief. Also, be prepared to adjust your goals as you grow. What feels important today might shift as you rebuild your sense of self. That's okay. Flexibility is not failure, it's wisdom. The key is to keep moving forward with intention, not perfection. Goals also give your effort meaning. When you wake up each day knowing why you're doing what you're doing, it becomes easier to stay disciplined. You stop relying on motivation and start relying on purpose. And perhaps most importantly, meaningful goals give you hope. They create a vision for a future worth fighting for. They remind you that no matter how broken things once were, you have the power to build something new deliberately, patiently, and with clarity. 5. Take consistent small steps when you're rebuilding yourself. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of change. You might look at the distance between where you are and where you want to be and think, how will I ever get there? That's where the power of consistent small steps comes in. It's not about making massive leaps overnight. It's about showing up day after day in small, deliberate ways that add up to something extraordinary. We often underestimate the impact of small actions. In a world obsessed with instant results and overnight success, it's easy to feel like tiny efforts don't matter. But the truth is, big transformations are almost always the result of small, repeated choices that at first may seem insignificant, but over time become the building blocks of a stronger, wiser, more resilient you. Think about it this way: you don't rebuild a house by snapping your fingers. You lay one brick at a time. Some days you may only place a single brick. Other days you might lay down several, but every brick matters. Every bit of progress counts. That's how strong foundations are formed, through patient, persistent effort. Small steps also make change feel less intimidating. When you focus only on the big picture, it can be paralyzing. "I need to completely turn my life around" is a heavy burden to carry, but when you break that down into something manageable, today I'll wake up an hour earlier, or tonight I'll journal for 10 minutes, or I'll make one healthy choice at lunch, you begin to build momentum. You create a rhythm, and with rhythm comes motivation, not the other way around. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. A burst of energy followed by burnout won't carry you far, but steady, intentional effort, even when it's imperfect, will. Some days will be harder than others. You won't always feel inspired. You won't always see immediate results. But consistency teaches you something deeper than progress. It teaches you discipline, self-trust, and resilience. It's important to celebrate these small victories too. Don't wait until you've reached the final goal to feel proud of yourself. Celebrate every step, every habit formed, every temptation resisted, every time you chose growth over comfort. These moments may seem minor, but they are signs of transformation happening in real time. Taking consistent small steps also helps you learn. With each action, you gather feedback. what works for you, what doesn't, what energizes you, what holds you back. You refine your path as you go, adapting to new insights and becoming more in tune with your own process of growth. Remember, you're not trying to rebuild yourself in one giant effort. You're not racing anyone. You're creating a life that's meant to last, and lasting change is slow, intentional, and deeply rooted in the things you do over and over again. 6. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. One of the most powerful and often overlooked parts of rebuilding yourself is evaluating the company you keep. The people around you have a profound impact on your thoughts, your energy, your confidence, and ultimately, your direction. As you begin the journey of transformation, it becomes essential to surround yourself with growth-minded people, those who support your evolution rather than resist it. You may have heard the saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." It's not just a catchy quote, it's a reflection of how deeply we are shaped by our environment. The conversations we engage in, the mindsets we absorb, and the behaviors we mirror often come from those around us. If you are trying to rise, but you're constantly surrounded by people who are stuck, complacent, or negative, it becomes much harder to grow. Growth-minded people are not perfect, but they believe in progress. They are curious, they are reflective, they're willing to challenge themselves, and they'll lovingly challenge you too. They cheer you on when you take bold steps. They remind you of your worth when you doubt yourself. And they hold you accountable not to your comfort zone, but to your potential. As you rebuild, you may find that some of your old relationships no longer align with who you are becoming. This is one of the most difficult parts of personal transformation. You might feel guilt for pulling away, you might fear loneliness, but the truth is not everyone can go where you're going. Some relationships are built around shared struggles, not shared values. Others are based on who you used to be, not who you're becoming. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're choosing alignment over attachment. Actively seek out people who inspire you, not just by their words, but by how they live. These could be mentors, coaches, creative collaborators, or simply friends who are also striving to grow. Join communities where people talk about ideas, dreams, healing, and purpose, not just gossip, complaints, or surface-level distractions. Energy is contagious, and when you place yourself in environments filled with belief, action, and accountability, your mindset begins to shift in powerful ways. If you don't have those kinds of people around you right now, don't be discouraged. Sometimes in the beginning, your greatest ally is you. You can start by consuming content that feeds your growth: books, podcasts, talks, articles. Let the voices of people who have walked the path of rebuilding pour into you. Use their wisdom to strengthen your own inner voice until you attract the kind of connections you deserve. And when you do find growth-minded people, nurture those relationships. Be the kind of friend, partner, or teammate you're seeking in others. Offer support, celebrate their wins, speak encouragement into their low moments. When people are growing together, something beautiful happens. It stops being a solo journey and becomes a shared transformation. 7. Embrace the process, not just the outcome. When you set out to rebuild yourself, it's natural to focus on the end goal, the vision of the new life you want, the person you aim to become, the achievements that symbolize your transformation. But real and lasting change isn't about reaching a destination as quickly as possible. It's about learning to embrace the process, the long, often messy, deeply human journey of becoming. The process is where growth actually happens. It's where your character is shaped, your resilience is tested, and your mindset evolves. The outcome is just a reflection of the work you've done along the way. And while goals are important, if you're only chasing results, you'll constantly feel like you're falling short, especially when progress is slow or invisible. The truth is, the journey of rebuilding isn't linear. Some days you'll feel unstoppable, full of purpose and clarity. Other days you'll question everything. You might slip back into old habits. You might face setbacks you didn't see coming. You might feel exhausted, confused, or tempted to quit altogether. These moments don't mean you're failing. They mean you're in the process, and the process is sacred. To embrace it means accepting that transformation takes time. It means learning to be patient with yourself, to show yourself grace in the in-between moments when nothing looks different yet, but everything is slowly shifting inside you. It means honoring your effort, even when there's no external validation. When you embrace the process, you stop measuring success only by outcomes and start measuring it by your commitment, your courage to keep going, your willingness to do the inner work. You start to appreciate the quiet wins, the day you chose to get back up, the conversation where you finally spoke your truth, the moment you listened to your intuition instead of fear. The process teaches you how to live in the present, instead of postponing happiness until some future version of yourself appears. It invites you to find meaning in the everyday grind, to learn to enjoy the learning, to celebrate the becoming, because the truth is, there is no final version of you. You will always be evolving, always growing, always learning. And that's not a flaw. That's the beauty of being human. It also helps you develop emotional endurance. By staying committed during the uncertain and difficult parts of the journey, you build mental strength and emotional maturity. You learn to trust yourself, not because life is predictable, but because you've proven that you can keep moving forward even when it's not. Embracing the process means releasing the illusion of perfection. It means allowing yourself to be a work in progress, knowing that every step forward, no matter how small, is still movement. And in time, you'll realize that the process itself, the struggle, the growth, the healing, is what shaped you far more than the goal ever could.